Hello there, good evening. Welcome to Look North. Our top story tonight. Was the man accused of trying to bomb a Yorkshire hospital dangerous, angry and troubled, or a revenge-seeking terrorist? We have the latest from court. Also tonight, worries that Yorkshire's most famous pub crawl could be getting out of hand as another bar considers joining the Otley Run in Leeds.
It provides a lot of money, but it causes a lot of mess as well. Students urinating, causing mess, behaving like idiots.
Rising Sheffield sprinter Louis Hinchliffe returns to Britain's best secure a fairy tale Olympic qualification. And football crazy, these fans went wild in Chesterfield when England finally snatched their place in the semi-finals of the Euros.
And it's been a rather dismal, damp start to the week, and I'm afraid there's some disappointing weather to come over the next few days. I'll be back at the end of the programme with all the details.
Hello there, good evening. Thank you for joining us on this Monday. A dangerous, angry, troubled individual or a revenge-seeking extremist? The jury at the trial of a man accused of preparing terrorist acts at a Leeds hospital and a Yorkshire RAF base has been hearing the closing speeches from the prosecution and defence. 28-year-old Mohammed Farouk from Roundhay was arrested outside St James's Hospital with a pressure cooker bomb. He denies preparing acts of terrorism. Our social affairs correspondent Emma Glasby reports from Sheffield Crown Court.
The prosecution and the defence have been putting forward their final arguments today. The prosecutor, Mr Jonathan Sandiford KC, told the jury that Mohammed Farouk took a pressure cooker bomb to St James's Hospital that night because he wanted to kill as many nurses as possible in an indiscriminate terror attack. Mohammed Farouk has pleaded guilty to possessing an explosive substance with intent, but he denies preparing acts of terrorism. Now, the defence case is that Mohammed Farouk was not radicalised and was not inspired by a political or religious cause, but that he had a personal grievance against certain members of staff at the hospital where he worked as a nursing assistant. Now, the defence barrister, Mr Gul Nawaz Hussain KC, said that he was a dangerous, angry, a troubled man, but that he was not an extremist. The prosecution argues that Mr Farouk was inspired by a political or religious cause and that he wanted to seek revenge against enemies of Islam. Mr Jonathan Sandiford KC has told the jury that the Plan A target was the US RAF base, Menwith Hill near Harrogate, but that was very well protected, and so he says that Mr Farouk then turned his attentions to St James's Hospital as his Plan B target. Now, Mohammed Farouk did not give evidence in his defence at this trial. The prosecution has said that was his opportunity to explain what this was all about, but he declined to do so. Mohammed Farouk denies preparing acts of terrorism. The trial will continue tomorrow.
Let's talk politics now. It is, of course, the final week of the general election campaign. By the time England take on Switzerland on Saturday, we will have a new government. So, as the final political leg of this election gets underway, how are our would-be MPs getting on? James joins us now. James, it's the home stretch.
It is, yeah. One of the stories we've been following this week, and for a few weeks actually, is Reform UK and some of their candidates. You might remember some of those comments that were reported that candidates had made on social media. We tackled that on Look North. You might remember I was stood in Pudsey a few weeks ago because they withdrew support from one of their candidates in Pudsey. There were also comments made by Robert Lomas, who's the Barnsley North candidate for Reform UK. We tried to speak to the party at the time. It was really unclear what they were doing, whether they were investigating, what they were going to do about it. We managed to catch up with Nigel Farage in Barnsley a couple of days later.
I haven't been, I mean, quite honestly, an election that's called at short notice. You've got Green candidates, you've got candidates in every party. Everyone's trawling through their social media and finding things people have said that may not be what you'd wish to choose to hear in polite society. But you know what?
Sorry, it's my fault.
Most of our candidates have never stood for election before. They're not politicos. And if we find anybody that overtly is bad and wrong, we would, of course, get rid of them.
In terms of a timetable, do you know when that investigation might be?
I've been leader for 5 days. You know, I walked into this at the last minute. It's a bit of a whirlwind.
So that was what Nigel Farage told us a couple of weeks ago. It all went quiet after then. It wasn't until the BBC's Question Time event last week, when they were directly asked about it, that they decided that they were going to withdraw support from Robert Lomas, the Barnsley North candidate. It's too late for anything to be done on the ballot paper. He will still be on there. Reform saying that he's not their candidate, but they're also saying that people can still vote for him if they want to support the party. It's not really how elections work. You vote for the individual rather than the party. So it's taken a long time to get to this stage, but it's one of those ones that's been rumbling on in the background.
James, let's talk about leader visits. Are we expecting any high-profile visits with 2 days left of campaigning? Because it's been pretty low-key, this election campaign, hasn't it, compared to other ones?
The answer to that is no. And it's pretty astounding that we're not going to get any of those visits. It's been a really weird campaign. We've had leaders up here. We had Nigel Farage in Barnsley, we had Ed Davey in Sheffield, we had Keir Starmer in York. Those latter two were only up here because the Question Time event in York, there doesn't feel like there's been any significant visits at all. Rishi Sunak's been to Wetherspoons in his patch a couple of times, but he's obviously standing in that constituency as a Conservative candidate. It feels like, you know, in other elections, we've had them queuing up to get in here, to speak to you, to speak to people on the television about why people should vote for them. It's just not happened. I'll leave people to decide why that is, but they obviously feel like there are more important places for them to be in this election right now. And as I understand it, there will be no more visits here during the general election, and we won't have the chance to scrutinise those leaders, to ask them those questions. We've done that with some of the constituencies, some of the candidates. We've done that, we've got those debates on the iPlayer, but we've not had those in-depth interviews with the party leaders that we would want to do on behalf of the viewer, and the ones that need to be done.
Nope, they've dissed us this time around, but hopefully we will get an interview with the new leader, whoever that might be. James, thank you. Well, still with politics, but on to green issues and the climate. There is no doubt that extreme weather events are connected to climate change, and Yorkshire has experienced its fair share in recent years, hasn't it? 17 years ago, the River Don in South Yorkshire flooded after extreme rain. 2 people died and helicopters were used to rescue people trapped in parts of the city. In Catcliffe, 700 homes were evacuated after cracks appeared in Ully Dam. The flood moved downstream to affect Toll Bar. In December 2015, more than 3,000 properties in the Calder Valley were flooded after Storm Eva. The River Aire also burst its banks in Leeds. 1,000 homes and 400 businesses were flooded. It was the worst flooding in 70 years. 4 years later, 2 months of rainfall fell in 24 hours. The River Don overtopped flood defences to cut off the village of Fishlake. 1,600 properties were affected. And remember July 2022? Temperatures reached a record-breaking 40 degrees. South Yorkshire Fire Service declared a major incident as wildfires took hold. And that's not all of them. Of course, 8 months ago, Catcliffe in Rotherham also flooded after heavy rain. So with climate change affecting so many of us, how far up the political agenda has it been during this election campaign? Lucy Ashton reports.
When Storm Babette hit Catcliffe last October, Jack's Theatre School was flooded along with 250 houses. A month's worth of rain fell in 36 hours. Today, the theatre school still has moisture coming out of the walls 8 months on.
A lot of what we've done is about making sure things are flood resistant so we can just wash it down. So we have a new sprung floor, but our new sprung floor is all closed cell foam and plastic. So it can come up and go back down again, as opposed to the one that was wood before.
And it's not just flooding we need to worry about. Wildfires, as seen here in South Yorkshire, on the hottest day on record in July 2022. Temperatures reached over 39 degrees. Yet the environment doesn't seem to be a hot topic this general election. BBC research shows climate change is only in the top 10 issues for voters aged under 34. So why has it slipped under the surface of this election?
I think that people do have daily issues which they feel are more pressing, and as I said, that maybe they're not connecting those to the wider interconnected issue that is the climate crisis.
No such clouds as these are.
and are now often for months without intermission.
Dr. Tom Payne is a senior lecturer at Sheffield Hallam University. He recently staged a performance at Sheffield's Crucible Theatre, which will kickstart a major programme of exhibitions and performances around climate change.
Right now, you know, how do I feed my family? How do I pay for fuel? Those are really, really big questions that people are tackling. And through the work that I do, I've spoken to lots of people in the community, and they do want to address those bigger issues, but they are facing significant challenges on a daily basis.
Structural engineer Miriam Graham creates buildings which are climate friendly. One of the projects was a new Sheffield food hall called Cambridge Street Collective in a building dating back to 1903.
We can look at what we've already got. The most sustainable solution is to not build anything at all. So if we can actually retain what we've got, reuse it, be creative with what we have, then actually that's going to save us a lot of carbon and emissions.
We really don't want to leave here, but there's definitely been moments of, do you know what, do we just go and find somewhere else? And I don't think we're going to. We love Catcliffe, we love being here, we love this building. But it's definitely been a thought process, you know, is it worth it? Because it's going to happen again.
Well, we did ask all the political parties for their main policies on climate change. The Conservatives say they will meet their goal of reaching net zero by 2050. They would treble offshore wind power and approve new small nuclear power stations. Labour would spend £1.7 billion a year on Great British Energy Company to create 650,000 jobs, drive industrial renewals and lower bills and create secure supplies of clean energy. The Liberal Democrats have net zero targets of 2045. They would speed up the deployment of solar and wind power, so 90% of power would be generated by renewables by 2030. And the Green Party wants to reach net zero by 2040 at the latest and would phase out nuclear power. Reform UK say they would scrap any plans to meet net zero. You are watching Monday's Look North. Stay with us because later we'll be meeting a very special young man called Luke, who, despite being a quad amputee, climbed a Yorkshire mountain to meet his dad, who, with a team of friends, has climbed 6 mountains in 45 hours. Now, the Otley Run, you might have done it at some point in your life. It's one of the most famous pub crawls around, featuring 18 bars on the route through Headingley. It started decades ago, was later popularised by the city's university students, and is now a popular destination for everyone, regardless of age or where they live. But a potential application to add a new pub to the Otley Run has been criticised by locals. Some say it would cause a rise in antisocial behaviour. Beth Parsons reports.
I've gone as the Hulk, I've gone as Thor, and now I'm a Smurf. Yeah.
Saturday afternoon in Headingley.
We have come from Doncaster, and we've come for my son-in-law's stag do.
You just drink a lot, basically. That's the long and short of it, really.
I've never done it before. I'm quite scared because I'm not a big drinker, but it's a drinking challenge, really.
The Three Horseshoes is one of the stop-offs along Otley Road.
It is good for business, obviously. It's good for a lot of the businesses in the area, not just the pubs. People have to eat. It's always hard work, but we always have an army of staff, so we can cope with the influx of people.
There are currently 18 pubs on the Otley Run, starting in Far Headingley and ending in the city centre. Last week, a meeting was held about adding a 19th, the Golden Beam Wetherspoons. Currently, it doesn't let people on the pub crawl in, but last week a meeting was held about changing the licence conditions to make that possible. Some say the change would be welcome, providing a toilet stop during a stretch with fewer pubs. Others disagree, saying there are too many people already doing the Otley Run.
My issue is with the quantity, the sheer quantity and numbers of people that do it, and it's just not safe.
Provides a lot of money, but it causes a lot of mess as well. Students urinating, causing mess, behaving like idiots.
I know plenty of people that have left. I know businesses that have left because it's ruined their Saturday footfall. I've got friends that live further down in Headingley that will not go into Headingley because of the smashed glass, the vomit, the aggressive behaviour.
Another pub on the route, Arcadia, also changed its rules last year. Formerly described by residents as a haven away from the crowds, it now welcomes those doing the pub crawl. something which the manager says has helped the business survive.
Takings have grown quite a bit on a Saturday, and now the summer's coming in, the Otley runners seem to be coming throughout the week now as well.
Many people who are concerned with the Otley Run at the moment stress they don't want to stop the fun. They just want it safe and fair.
We don't want to stop it. Headingley's a fun place to live, but we need it managing because it needs to be safe.
An official application for the additional pub has still yet to be made. Meanwhile, the people who live here are just having to learn how to navigate life on the Otley Run. Beth Parsons, BBC Lit North, Headingley.
Let's go on to a bit of sport now. A 21-year-old runner from Sheffield has made it onto the Olympic sprint team after becoming British 100-metre champion this weekend. Louis Hinchliffe has been described as a rising star on the track, and he's been trained in America by an Olympic legend. Abby Giola reports.
Louis Hinchliffe, winner of the semi-final, the first semi-final in 10 points.
He's from Sheffield, he's 21 and he is fast. Earlier this month, he became the first European athlete to win the 100 metres title in the National Collegiate Championships in America. This is him winning the UK Athletics Championship on Saturday and bagging a place on the Olympic team.
Just had to believe in myself. Like, that was the main part. Believe, like my coach told me, is like just execute my race, stick to my race plan, stay in my lane, and yeah, like it will happen. Like, you'll be British champions.
His coach knows a thing or two about sporting success. 9-time Olympian Carl Lewis has been training Louis in America since August.
If you look at him walking down the street, you would not think that he's the guy he is, and I think that's the unique part about him. He doesn't look like the other sprinters. He's not tall, and he's shorter, and he's kind of stockier. He's got long hair, you know. So I think as an athlete, he's incredible because he's intuitive to what we're trying to do.
Louis' parents watched him racing this weekend. Last month, he recorded the second fastest 100 metres in British history with a wind-assisted 9.84 seconds. Today, he finished in 10.18.
Can't believe it. He keeps saying, yeah, I'm relaxed, I'll make it to the team. That's why he keeps reassuring us. But then he said, he's still down to earth, but he's never going to say that to other people. It's only within the family, really.
Turning up today, he's not run against these guys before, and you could say he's a rookie student, but he's proved he's probably stepped up to another level today by handling the pressure and turning up and beating some good athletes.
Training for Paris starts now. Could the next medal Louis wins be an Olympic one? Abby Giola, BBC Look North.
Let's certainly hope so. Definitely one to watch, eh? Now, an 11-year-old girl from North Yorkshire has attended a private gathering with the Queen at Buckingham Palace. Lila O'Donovan, who's from Catterick, raises money for seriously ill children while living with a brain tumour herself. She was supposed to go to an official Royal Garden party last month but couldn't make it because she was in hospital. She attended the event yesterday alongside fellow fundraiser 9-year-old Tony Hudgell. Now, next tonight, you're going to meet a very inspirational young man. 5 years ago, when he was just 7, Luke from Skipton got meningitis and septicemia. He left hospital as a quad amputee. He's faced many challenges since, not least this last weekend when he managed to climb Pen y Ghent in the Yorkshire Dales. There, he met up with his dad and more than 20 other walkers who plan to climb the National Three Peaks and the Yorkshire Three Peaks in less than 48 hours. Luke and his dad, Adam, who did all 6 peaks, join me now. Congratulations to both of you. How are you feeling?
Yeah, a little bit tired, a little bit sore. Could do with some new feet.
And how are you, Luke?
Aching.
Aching, I bet you are, because that is incredible that you managed to get all the way up and all the way down. What was the hardest bit for you?
Stairs. The stairs going up to the peak, that was the hardest bit.
Yeah, I'm sure, because some of it you do in a chair, don't you? And then some of it you do walking. Now, Luke, you lost your limbs when you were just 7 years old, but you managed to do all the things that you love, don't you? Tell us about some of the stuff that you enjoy.
First of all, I really liked the when I was able to walk again. Then after that, it was eating. They were really the 2 things that I liked most. And after that, as soon as I started running, like we got first prosthetics which are carbon fibre, not very comfortable. And we've got these stubbies that I'm wearing now, which are currently my favourite prosthetics. And now I'm running around my playground like everybody else.
And that is just what it's about, isn't it? You are amazing, Luke, because not only do you all those things, but you also love Lego, don't you, and swimming. This really hasn't held him back at all, has it, Adam?
Not at all, no. It is just adapted to everything, and it constantly amazes us how quick he just grasps things that we just think, oh, he'll never be able to do. And yeah, he just gets on and does it. So
the whole point of these climbs was to raise money for young people who are just like Luke. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yes, we raised some money for AMP camp kids, and they take families and their children to Tenerife for a week, where you get all expenses in a villa with a chef, and they look after you, and you get to meet all the other families, and the kids get to meet each other. And it's just a really nice, relaxing week. They take you out on trips, and you know, you get to meet other people that are going through very similar things that you've gone through, and it's a great support network. Yeah, it's just a really nice week.
And what's that like for you, Luke, meeting similar young people?
I mean, like, I did make a good friend last time that we were there, and it was they were not only really nice to me, but the good thing about going there is that everybody gets you, so you don't have anybody like looking at you going like that, because they're all used to being around people who aren't ordinary, so usually they just like look at you and go, hi, how are you doing?
Well, you're not ordinary, you're extraordinary, and it's absolutely lovely to have you in the studio. Very quickly, what is your next challenge? Because I know you'll have one up your sleeve somewhere.
Well, we were discussing it, believe it or not, on the way back from Snowdon. We think it's going to be possibly a mountain bike challenge. There's a talk of a really sort of extended triathlon. So yeah, we've got a couple of ideas there.
Wow, there's no stopping both of you. Thanks so much for coming in.
Thank you very much.
And good luck with high school.
Thank you.
What a boy he is. And talking of inspirational people, MND campaigner Ian Flatt has climbed another mountain to raise money for a new treatment centre in Leeds. Led by a piper and drummer no less, he ascended Ben Honzie in the Scottish Highlands. It's the 5th of his 7 mountain challenge, inspired by Rob Burrow, who died from motor neuron disease last month. The funds raised will support the families of those living with MND at a new centre named after the rugby league legend. Ah, well done, Ian. Now, where were you yesterday afternoon? If you heard a loud screech at around 10 to 7, then your neighbours were definitely watching England and the most amazing escape in the Euro match against Slovakia. Doncaster man Louis Tomlinson, aka One Direction, took a telly into Glastonbury so festival goers could watch the game, and in one Chesterfield pub, a security camera caught the moment the equaliser was scored, as Tom Ingle reports.
94 minutes in, and even the most die-hard England fans have, well, died hard. And then, wow, easy fellas! I'm sure the Chesterfield Barrel Inn would like some furniture left. I mean, I don't know quite how to describe what's going on, but please don't try this. And wow, careful, you're gonna slip on the balls. Get off the table. It's true, Paul. In York, they were also celebrating. But guys, you need to put your back into it to meet Chesterfield's gold standard. To Glastonbury, where Shania was, quite understandably, not impressed that much by England so far. Fortunately, a Doncaster man in the shape of Louis Tomlinson had got a telly onto the festival site, so everyone could enjoy Twain and Kane.
Well, we brought a TV in, very Glasto, in some like stones in a little stand. It was a little bit touch and go at times because the signal kept going in and out, but yeah, luckily we got the win, we pulled it off, made up.
And if Shania does need new backing dancers, she needs to get herself down to Chesterfield, where these moves are most impressive, and only mildly filled with total mortal peril. Tom Ingle, BBC Look North.
It was a pretty amazing moment. I was watching it in a community centre and everyone went wild. They'd gone from being really depressed to euphoric.
Come on, England.
Yeah. Shame the weather's not euphoric.
No, not at all, is it? Yeah, a really disappointing start to the week. This picture was taken over the weekend. There were a lot of cloud on Sunday, but a nice enough picture all the same. Saturday actually was really quite damp and drizzly, wasn't it? It rained for quite a lot of the morning, but Sunday was a little bit better. And the second picture, grey skies were brightened up by these poppies near York. You can keep your pictures coming in to the Weather Watchers page, or we're on social media as well. So the Met Office today issued the provisional June statistics. It has in fact been a drier than average month, and this comes off the back of a really wet, or a wet spring, a really wet autumn and winter. So that feels like a bit of a change. It was cooler as well, so even though we had that really warm spell of weather last week, it wasn't enough to lift those temperatures. Temperatures for the first half of June were 2 or 3 degrees below average. Believe it or not, it has been sunnier. The UK had around 12% more sunshine than the long-term June average. But the first week of July, very disappointing indeed. Tomorrow, not too bad. It'll be breezy, there's quite a lot of cloud around, and there will be a few showers in the mix as well. So last week, we had some lovely weather, didn't we? But this week, the Atlantic has now taken over. So the weather system's coming in from the west. You can see those isobars coming down from more of a northwesterly direction. So temperatures below average for the time of year. And we have had damp, drizzly conditions through today. A weather system, tail end of a cold front actually moving eastwards. It's still very cloudy out there with some patchy rain and drizzle, which might just continue, particularly in the east at times overnight, hopefully easing a little later. We'll start to see perhaps some breaks pushing down from the north and west. Temperatures underneath that cloud, though, dropping no lower than around 10 or 11 degrees. A quick look at the high water times at 1:23 in Whitby and at 1:36 in Scarborough. So if we do start off with a lot of cloud, we should see some breaks in that cloud through the morning, some sunnier spells, but the cloud will tend to build and fill out again and produce a few showers through the course of the day. So often quite cloudy, quite breezy as well. A moderate to fresh west-northwesterly breeze and temperatures below par for the time of year, 17 or 18 degrees. 17 is 63 Fahrenheit. And we'll continue on a similar vein into tomorrow evening. The odd shower, fairly cloudy conditions. Into Wednesday, more clouds still. The cloud thick enough for some rain and drizzle spreading in from the west. Quite windy conditions for Wednesday as well. Windy with sunshine and showers, so slight improvement for Thursday, but overall disappointing.
Yes, thank you. Not the best way to start the week, Keely,
I
but
do
thank you
apologise.
very much. I will not hold you responsible. That is it from us. Mark Ansell is here with your late news, and we'll be here with you for the rest of the week. Bye-bye for now.